welcome to this special edition of the RaspberrySky Straight Talking. I am delighted to introduce you to Benjamin Calleja, the founder and Chief Experience Officer of Livit, the global experts in guest experience and design. Welcome, Benjamin. Could you just give us a quick overview of the company?
So Livit is currently the world's largest restaurant design company. We're a strange company. We do everything from strategy to operations to design to touch points. So we're a company where we have kitchen designers and DJs on staff to really make sure that we capture the whole customer journey, the whole experience. And our job is really to make brands scalable and profitable. I love being on the road and meeting interesting people. And I think it's essential. If you want to drive this industry and push innovation, it's very important to understand what is happening in China, what is happening in the US, what's happening all over the world. Because what we try to do is have a little bit of a crystal ball. What we create for today, it's not for today, it's for 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. This industry really needs a lot of that. It's an old school industry. Interestingly enough, I think during the last 10, 11 months through COVID, we've seen more innovation than in the last 10 years.
Let's just talk about your two restaurant concepts. So you have V and 1889 Pizza.
We've designed somewhere between 13,000 and 14,000 restaurants by now. So what we really thought is, can we prove ourselves that you could do things even more differently and push the industry? And it's hard when you have a global client. It's very hard to push this kind of innovation. So we said, we're going to do it ourselves. And what we wanted to do it is in very tough environments. So we actually chose to open what we call them restaurant labs, because it's really an environment that for guests, they think it's a regular restaurant, but they're packed with sensors and we try everything really. And we don't have to ask for permission, right? We just ask for forgiveness.
I like the approach.
Yeah. So the whole idea is we opened one in Stockholm and one in Los Angeles, right? Which are high labor markets. We really wanted to create something where we can prove that, restaurants could be run efficiently and feel like a Soho House, but be run like a QSR. So that was kind of the issue. Can we take this extreme operational efficiency where we're doing, 5 to 7 guests per labor hour, which is astonishing, but put it in a fine dining environment where people really want to hang out and post and have cool drinks and really, become that neighborhood community hub. And nobody had ever done it. And we didn't know if it's going to work or not, but we decided to try it at least. So the whole idea of V is the Roman numeral 5, and therefore we play on the 5 senses. So not only we create our own scents, we can actually change the scent in real time. And depending on what scent we use, consumers behave differently and actually order different food products, which is really interesting in how you can scent to drive revenue. We have a partnership with Spotify, with the business division, where we test music and utilize different music to have different consumer behavior, depending on we're on peak or non-peak, or you want to drive average ticket or throughput. So everything we do is really about all the 5 senses. And once you get it right, it's extremely interesting, not only from that emotional connection you create with guests, but how you can actually trickle that down to profitability. And what we experienced is in changing from just popular music to fully brand fit music, sales could go up 9.1%. Wow. And we did this across 25 restaurants with another 25 restaurants on benchmark. So it's a really professional study. We didn't do it. We outsourced it to a company. When you hear a song that you get distracted from your conversation, and therefore you're more aware of time. And it's very interesting. The other thing we learned is depending on the BPM or the pitch that you play, you can also have customers to stay shorter or longer in the restaurant and therefore have upsell opportunities. So for example, what we do here in Stockholm is when we use wood-fired scent, we sell much more pizzas. When we change that to fresh basil, our salad sales go up 13%. So what we have now developed is scents that are connected to Wi-Fi that we can in real time change. So within the same day, automatically they get injected into the air conditioning system, and you can try different consumer behaviors with that. It's fascinating.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. I'm assuming your pricing for food is flat, in terms of, you know, a constant price and not relevant to when they've booked or when they arrive. Are you looking at the potential of revenue managing your F&B, for instance?
I think we're all used to pay different prices for the same room, different prices for the same seat on an aircraft, but nobody pays different prices for the same food, right? Which doesn't make any sense. You know, you would want to have what we call dynamic pricing, and there are some very interesting exercises in that, but normally across territories. So within a country, you can have dynamic pricing depending on, you know, average spend or disposable income or things like that. I think this industry still has to see the opportunity of dynamic pricing in restaurants.
We've got a lot of dead space in hotel lobbies and restaurants that aren't particularly engaging. Do you see that this is a real opportunity for you as a business?
Hotels are starting to understand that they have a lot of underutilized assets. So jumping into, again, dark kitchens, virtual spaces, but also understanding that you can manage and operate your restaurants completely differently. We're actually now, Livit has been engaged by two very large brands, I can't say the names, to create a new hotel brand based on F&B. So basically, we create the social space, we create the cool rooftop and the pool bar and all that, and then they happen to have rooms in between. But the whole idea is, how do you create that engaging, aspirational space that is an all-day neighborhood hangout?
Community kind
whether it has rooms on top or not, it's relevant.
With the COVID pandemic and the massive impact it's had on the hospitality sector, what are you doing to work with your clients to help them be more efficient and more engaging? Are there new initiatives that you're bringing out?
Brands we work with that were already prepared for off-premise, where we had digitalized, they are doing double digits year-on-year sales improvement. So it's not a tough industry for everyone.
From what you're saying, you are predominantly relying on social media to do a lot of your marketing through Instagram.
We decided to spend zero on marketing and actually only use user-generated content. So one of the things that we've seen is that consumers trust peers, not brands. You know, there's been a trend of designing for Instagram, you know, designing the picture wall, etc. I believe that that's old news. Everything is TikTok, everything is Reels. So when you design something, make sure there's a movement. Make sure that there's dry eye smoking, or there's something happening that is well captured on video.
What do you see coming down the line in terms of who will be disrupting the food and beverage vertical?
The disruption and competition is most probably not coming from within the industry. It's coming from the sides. I think a great example is the launch of Mr. Beast, where suddenly an influencer that is not from this industry launches a chain that has, you know, hundreds of units, right, and outlets.
Talk to me about your measuring and tracking, because you say that you measure and track everything, and you interestingly talk about, you know, you track dwell time and time and value.
What we track is how many guests we have in the store in real time. If those guests have been with us before or after, how often do they come? How is that correlated to weather patterns? So we can actually do predictive analysis on sourcing of materials and on staffing.
As you move your concepts into sort of more hotel setups, then the ability to manage that solo business traveler where, you know, maybe it's a community tables, or it's, you know, it's trying to increase that revenue spend.
I mean, the most important part for that type of traveler is making sure that the social spaces of a hotel become a community hub. I want to connect with the community. I don't want to sit in a boring hotel lobby with other travelers. I want to see who's there. I want to engage. I want to talk. Make sure that we create something that is engaging for people that live in the community first, because travelers are going to love it.
Where are you going to take the business next? Where's the sort of strategy? Where are you going?
I'm very curious about scaling our own concepts and labs across the world. That's kind of the next chapter, really becoming a global brand. The biggest success would be if we can make a footprint in this industry and have, you know, people think differently. That to me would really be the best outcome.